If there is one thing I can say about Nintendo, Nintendo is going to make their money. They put out some good stuff. There's a lot of complaints that people have about Nintendo. I'm not going to say that it's all unwarranted, but they stick to their guns in a good way. A lot of companies stick to their guns when they're producing things that are just not liked at all. Nintendo, on the other hand, when they do something and stick to their guns, now I'm not saying it's always worked, but typically there's a method to the madness. It seems as though that is happening with the movies that are being put out about Nintendo IPs, like Super Mario. If you did not see Super Mario, that was a very good movie, a movie that I could watch again and have just as much enjoyment. And I've grown to love and appreciate movies that I can just enjoy. When it's just like I can sit down in the theater, enjoy myself, enjoy what I'm watching, and leave the movie theater like, wow, that was a good experience. The casting and the voice acting for Super Mario Brothers, in my opinion, was good. It fit perfectly, or at least to my liking. Of course, it's not going to please everyone. But from what I hear, Nintendo had a whole lot of input. Like, they do not give up the rights to their stuff. If you're going to do something for them, they're going to be in charge and they're going to let you know if something doesn't work. And to their credit, that's probably how it should be. If I owned an IP and somebody said, hey, we think what you've created is great enough, whether it be a book, a game, whatever it is. And they said, we want to turn this into a movie. If it's one thing I've decided a long time ago that I will not do, I'm not giving up the rights to my IP. That's not happening. We can do some kind of partnership, but I'm going to have creative control because I'm not going to have you go off the rails. Now, to some degree, and this goes back to something I talked about in a video a few days ago, to some degree, I can trust directors to do their job. So I will obviously take the advice of a director within reason. Within reason. If it's something egregious, I'm like, nah, go back to the drawing board. From what I hear and what I heard during the production of Super Mario, that is exactly what happened. When there was something done that was not pleasing to Nintendo, they sent them back to the drawing board. Like, no, take this back. We don't like this. This is not our IP. Our fans won't be familiar with this. You're going to make some changes. So I wanted to look at this story right here. Zelda live action movie cast Princess Zelda and Link. And I have to say, when I saw both this actress and this actor, immediately, just off looks alone, I was like, yes. Yes, look, Nintendo, they know what they're doing and they are good at what they do. And in my humble opinion, this right here works. I think this works. I think this will do it. Okay. Nintendo has announced the lead stars of its upcoming Legend of Zelda live action movie. Bo Bragason will play Princess Zelda, and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth will take on the role of Link. Now, I heard someone say, I was watching a video, and a gentleman mentioned the fact that Link doesn't really talk much in the game. Like, you don't hear an audible voice, so how are they going to work this? And I really don't think it's a big of a problem as was made out in that video. It's not a problem at all. As long as, and I'm going to have to do a bunch of back research and get caught up again. I haven't played all of the Zelda games. I've played a lot of them, but some of them I can't remember. I definitely don't play games like I used to, but I definitely want to make sure I go back, look at some of the Zelda backstories, make sure I have all of this nailed down, and definitely get a good grasp before the movie comes out. But I'm not going to say Nintendo can do no wrong. I'm not going to say that. But I will say, I trust that they're going to make good and sure that this thing sticks. The news came directly from Shigeru Miyamoto on Nintendo's official social media account, which also included what appeared to be early images of the cast in costume. I like it. I like it. And these are like basic pictures. There's nothing crazy. Sometimes, and this is something me and my daughter talked about when we went to see Superman. We were talking about something else, and we were talking about the original Star Wars movies, and we both concluded that sometime all of this hyper usage of CGI might be affecting these studios in a bad way because nobody's really putting in the work to make this stuff look as good as possible. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that a lot of these programmers and digital artists, however you call them, it's not that they're not putting in work, and it's not that they're not making an effort to make sure that these things look real. But I think practical effects need to be used a lot more. I know it's harder sometimes, and I know there's a lot more work involved, but man, it looks so much cleaner on screen. And you know what? What took me over the edge and convinced me in that regard is Godzilla Minus One. I didn't realize how much practical effects they used in that movie until after the fact. And then when I looked up all of this stuff, I was like, oh yeah, practical effects is where that. This is Miyamoto, Kasakasum. This is Miyamoto. I am pleased to announce that for the live action film of The Legend of Zelda, Zelda will be played by Bo Bragason San and Link by Benjamin Evan Ellsworth San. I don't want what's the San at the end. I must be missing something. It's probably something simple and my brain just hasn't caught up yet. I am very much looking forward to seeing both of them on the big screen, states the tweet. And that's, of course, his tweet right there. You can see it. And yeah, I gotta say, looking at these two young people, they fit, in my humble opinion at least. Who are the new Zelda and Link? Bo Bragason is known for appearing in BBC's One's Three Girls and the Jetty. I don't know anything about that. As well as Disney Plus's Renegade Nell. She also starred in the vampire comedy The Radleys last year. Know nothing about either of those. But like I said, facially, I don't know why I clicked off the article. Facially, I think she works. I think she definitely works. She has the right look. And that really and truly, I think if you get an actor or actress that has the proper look for whatever role they're being cast for, unless they're just a terrible actor or actress, it's gonna work. The look is not always everything, but it definitely helps, especially when it comes to gaining fan capital. And we know in this day and age, especially looking at what's going on presently with Superman, losing fan capital is a big deal. It's a really big deal. Benjamin Evan Ainsworth voiced the title character in Robert Zemeckis' Pinocchio and played Miles in The Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix. I don't know anything about either. Well, Pinocchio, obviously I know, but that other, I know nothing about that. He currently stars in Son of a Critch and appears in The Sandman. Okay. This is yet another kid that I knew nothing about. But, I'm just going to go ahead and say, definitely has the Link look, in my humble opinion. Maybe I'm bugging, but I think he's got it. I think that Link look I think that Link look is there. I really think it is. Just looking over these images. So we'll see. We'll see. I at least have a some degree of confidence that Nintendo will definitely have their hands in this heavily. They're not going to let this go off the rails, and they're going to make sure this is as close to the game as possible, like as dead on as possible. Obviously, whatever can't translate to the big screen will be changed, but The Legend of Zelda is now set for May 7th, 2027 theatrical release after being pushed back last month from its original March date. Miyamoto said the shift was due to production scheduling. They're going to make sure it's right. One thing about Nintendo, they don't always hit the mark, but when they try to make sure something is right, they don't play around with that. Wes Ball, director of Maze Runner and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, is helming the project. Miyamoto is producing alongside Avi Arad. Okay, yeah. Like I said, Nintendo, they're not just going to let you loose with their IP and say, all right, you do something. That's not happening. Following the success of Nintendo's Super Mario Bros. Movie, which became a global hit for Universal Illumination, fans are now expecting big things from the Zelda movie. And I'll tell you why this is, in my humble opinion, encouraging for many reasons. The Halo show that came out, it wasn't the greatest. I won't harp on that because, I'm not going to focus on that negative. But hopefully this teaches studios like 343, which is now Halo Industries, I think is what they're called now. Like, keep this thing accurate to what we love. Like, whatever it is that you need to change for the big screen to make it work on camera, fine with that. But don't make any egregious changes. Keep this thing similar, because really and truly, I look forward, hopefully, to a day where we get whether it be in a TV show or a movie, a live action version of Halo that respects the lore, the games, the books, and because in my humble opinion, that is definitely probably a missed opportunity to introduce people to this expansive Halo universe. And now people are going to be introduced to the expansive fantasy world of Zelda. There's probably many people who never played the game that might go see this movie and go, yo, what's all the hype about with Zelda? Yo, it's one of the greatest RPGs ever created. Zelda has some bangers, and I'm definitely looking forward to this.